Rohingya are indigenous people of Myanmar, living in their ancestral lands. However, as a result of the genocidal policies enacted by the Thein Sein regime, almost half of Rohingyas have fled their homes to neighboring countries. Tens of thousands of Rohingyas risking their lives aboard rickety boats in dangerous seas are not looking for better jobs. They are fleeing genocide.
Deep in the jungle, authorities say they've uncovered a mass grave at a suspected camp for human trafficking. It's believed most of the victims at the camp were Rohingya, members of a stateless Muslim minority who've been fleeing ethnic violence in Myanmar for years.
7 Nobel Peace Laureates issued a statement condemning Myanmar's persecution of the Rohingya people at a 2015 conference in Oslo, Norway. What Rohingyas are facing is a textbook case of genocide in which an entire indigenous community is being systematically wiped out by the Burmese government.
On one side, hate, fear, and anger. And on this side, peace in the heart and mind.
Thousands of my own fellow Rohingyas live in ghetto-like conditions where armed guards stand ready to shoot them.
But the Rohingyas are fleeing from Myanmar, running away from a living nightmare.
Humanitarian George Soros had strong words for the Oslo conference, rebuking the actions of Myanmar.
In 1944, as a Jew in Budapest, I too was a Rohingya, much like the Jewish ghettos set up by Nazis around Eastern Europe during World War II. Angwindalar has become the involuntary home to thousands of families who once had access to healthcare, education, and employment. Now they are forced to remain segregated in a state of abject deprivation. The parallels to the Nazi genocide are alarming.
It's like we are like being in the jail. We are like in the bars in the cage, like in the ghetto.
President Barack Obama, while supportive of so-called reforms, is critical.
And the Rohingya have been discriminated against significantly. And that's part of the reason they're fleeing. I think if I were Rohingya, I would want to stay where I was born. I'd want to stay in the land where my parents had lived, but I'd want to make sure that my government was protecting me and that people were treating me fairly. That's what I'd want.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu also addressed the Rohingya plight, stating,
"But I'd be more inclined to heed the warnings of eminent scholars and researchers, including Amartya Sen, the Nobel laureate in economics, who say this is a deliberately false narrative to camouflage the slow genocide being committed against the Rohingya people."
Please call, write, and meet your leaders, opinion makers, and the Burmese ambassador. Tell them to help restore Rohingya citizenship. Let Rohingyas live in their ancestral land. Is it too much to ask?
Myanmar's actions are neither arbitrary nor accidental. Protect the Rohingyas. Say no to genocide.
With regard to whether or not the Rohingya are citizens of the country, that depends very much on whether or not they meet the requirements of the citizen.